Today marks the 44th running of the Grand Prix of Long Beach, America's longest running and most prestigious street course race. Outside of the Indianapolis 500, this is the race that IndyCar drivers mark on their calendar as the one they want to win. 25 years ago, I got the first win of my career, and it's pretty special that it took place right here in Long Beach. Winning that race, I added my name to the legends of those who had won here in the past. It's one of my top memories that I came back here and I won 3 more times. Over in Victory Lane, there are plaques for all the winners here, and it's pretty cool to see all the legendary names. Today, there's 24 drivers that will roar down Shoreline Drive with the same goal in mind. There are 7 past winners in the field, each trying to add their Southern California legacy. And there are others, like the young American Josef Newgarden, rookie sensation Robert Wickens, and the California native Alexander Rossi, all trying to leave here saying the same thing that I did 25 years ago. I won at Long Beach.
It is time to go racing in the Verizon IndyCar Series. It is the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach with a California racing legend to say the special words.
Race fans, are you ready? It's time for the most famous words in all of sports. Please welcome your Grand Marshal, Scott Pruitt.
Long Beach, love this place. Hi to my family at home. Drivers, start your engines!
And as the engines fire, from all of us, we want to say thank you and congratulations to Scott Pruitt. He was a rival of both of yours in IndyCar racing, but Scott has officially retired. But when he did race at this year's Rolex 24 at Daytona, it marked his 50th year in racing.
Well, Lee, let's take a little closer look here, just down the road from the Staples Center in LA, where the NHL is tonight. The streets of Long Beach wind and twist their way right along the ocean with Shoreline Drive, but down in turn 1 is where things always get interesting, especially on the start. You can outbrake somebody, you can get in deep, but you can also get in way too deep. Interestingly enough, look at the difference in top speed year over year. 2017 top speed was 171, this year 179, and they have to brake earlier by virtue of less downforce. Gotta love this view, the nose cam. As we go through turn 5, heading back down towards pit lane, really gives you an appreciation for speed, but turn 9, another braking opportunity. A lot bumpier than turn 1, and if you get it wrong, this was Kyle Kaiser earlier in the weekend. It's a big impact into an immovable concrete wall. And then turn 11, the slowest corner in racing, 35 miles an hour. You come out in first gear like James Hinchcliffe here, and then you've got to lay the power down as smooth as you can. Going back to downforce, 2017, that's the red line where they would get to full throttle. Now it's a full 50 feet later out of the corner until you can get full power because of the less downforce of the aero kit.
Needless to say, this just under 2-mile track is a beast. The cars are rolling. They will do 3 pre-race ceremonial laps before we go racing. Stick around. Great to have you with us for round 3 of the 2018 Verizon IndyCar Series. And for the 44th time, it is the Grand Prix of Long Beach. What an honor for Alexander Rossi to be on the pole position, and he is clearly the guy to beat today.
Looking further back, strong run from Graham Rahal to start inside row 3. Newgarden had an issue, as did Ryan Hunter-Reay, with a qualifying penalty, but James Hinchcliffe starts next to him.
Keep your eye on Sebastian Bourdais and Robert Wickens. Robert is the flavor of the moment. He has had an amazing start to the season. Tony Kanaan, the veteran, and Jordan King, a rookie, starting next to him.
Well, Jordan King has only started he's about to start his 2nd race this season. He's made it into the Fast 12 both times, so good work from the young British driver.
Looking further back, rookie Zach Beach, his first Long Beach IndyCar start.
Jack Harvey with the Shank team and Spencer Piggott. We thought he had a good start to the weekend, but watch out for Marco Andretti. He has got a fast car. We know his team is up front.
And then you got Takuma Sato, a winner just 2 years ago. What an honor for him to win this and the Indianapolis 500. He feels like he's part of a special group, which he is. All right, we need to show you our onboards today. This is Zach Veach in the Group 1001 car for Andretti Autosport, and Group 1001 brings us this view. How about Sebastian Bourdais with this view, the visor cam or helmet cam with thanks to Honda, and we'll show you that a lot today. Can't wait, he'll be in the mix. And then you've got James Hinchcliffe. This view brought to you by Lucas Oil. And you get that feeling that the reigning champion here, the winner on the streets of Long Beach, will be in the mix again. Graham Rahal equals his best ever start here in Southern California, so he'll be looking to give us lots of good pictures thanks to Total Performance Engine Oils. And Alexander Rossi, the man on pole, has this view with thanks to Verizon. And speaking of Verizon, his teammate Ryan Hunter-Reay carries the Verizon streaming camera. Go inside IndyCar all season by downloading IndyCar Mobile exclusively from Verizon, America's best streaming network. There are 24 cars on this 2-mile track ready to go, and they'll come out of this 35 mile an hour, as Townsend said, hairpin, to pack up, grid up, try and form, and as soon as it goes green, they'll go racing no matter where you are on the track. It's time to bring the action!
Really bad start by Will Power. He lost positions. Pagenaud coming up the outside, preferred braking line, but Will wants it back.
Here come teammate on teammate, Power on the inside. Pagenaud got hit by Rahal.
Rahal into the back of Pagenaud. Pagenaud with the perfect 360, but you have to think there's damage to the back of the 22 car.
Well, that will definitely get a served penalty and a nose to tail. The chief stewards, they don't mind wheel to wheel, but that will definitely bring you a penalty. I know that.
For avoidable contact for sure. And Paul, you talked about Will Power getting a bad start. I'm not sure if it was much a bad start as much as a great start for Alexander Rossi. He was waiting for nobody. And look at him, he's trying to pull away. I think I see damage on Ryan Hunter-Reay's right front wing as well. The yellow DHL car right there.
Full course caution.
Well, they got to get to Pagenaud and get him started. Oh, he's out. Rear damage, so he could be out of the race. It looks like the wheel is broken. He got hit so hard.
Oh, wow.
Either hit that on the wall, but he's definitely going to lose a lap. He's going to have to go on the hook. As we see the replay, Graham Rahal coming down the outside. He didn't lock it up at all. He just drove it right into the back, and he bent the suspension. I see the suspension's bent, and then it got hit on the wall as well.
And Ryan Hunter-Reay in the yellow and red car taking avoidable and evasive action, I should say. This is real time. Look to the left.
Hard hit. Chrome horn and a hard hit right on the nose. Watch the nose of the car here.
Okay, one inside, one inside.
And I can't emphasize.
You're clear, +1.
On board with Rossi looking out the back. I can't emphasize enough the difference in downforce this year. We showed it right with the track map. They're braking 50 to 100 feet earlier this year because of less downforce and at a higher top speed. For a lot of the veteran drivers like Graham Rahal, your reference points on the start are totally different.
Yeah. And let's not forget, that wasn't even on push to pass. We're going to see speeds once they get using push to pass up in the 183, 184 mile an hour with a tow.
So restarts are going to be tricky.
Oh boy. Simon Pagenaud, a Long Beach winner, out of his Team Penske Chevrolet. It's over. Over before a lap was even turned for the Frenchman. And this is how it happened.
Okay, one inside, one inside. Okay, you're clear, +1.
You're watching NBCSN's coverage of IndyCar, brought to you by Tag Heuer, official timepiece of the IndyCar Series. And by United Rentals, official equipment rental services provider of IndyCar and proud sponsor of Graham Rahal.
Under caution after Graham Rahal got into the back of Simon Pagenaud, and another victim is Ryan Hunter-Reay in right now. He, I think, was right behind Rahal, got into the back of him, some wing damage. They contemplated staying out and just adjusting the rear bar to compensate, but now they've just decided to come in. Too much damage, it was flopping around. One of the contenders is going to have to really go off strategy to have a chance now.
It's a much lengthier process now with the nose camera, changing these noses out. They used to be able to do it in a few seconds. Now there's some camera equipment to disconnect and reconnect, so if you definitely don't want to have that happen under green.
Ryan Hunter-Reay in many ways must be saying, what do I have to do to get back on top of the podium here?
But I'll tell you what, this will be fun because Ryan Hunter-Reay has one of the best cars on the track. As we take another look at what happened to Hunter-Reay, he was caught just trying to back out of the pass of Scott Dixon. I think just got clipped there on the right front corner of his wing, but he's got a great car. He's won here at Long Beach before. As we see that nose cam, Paul, you were talking about. Here comes Hunter-Reay up the inside. He decides wisely to back out of it.
Lucky Dixon didn't get a flat tire as well.
And Scott Dixon is desperate to win this race, guys. He feels like he should have won the last two. So I talked to, as we come to green, I talked to the team just before. He's going with max downforce to get that straight line speed a little up. Lee.
Top end of the circuit. Through turn 10. This is 11, ready to slingshot and get this race started for real. Let's go back to racing in Long Beach and get through turn 1 cleanly. It is Alexander Rossi with a great restart over Will Power.
Look at the gap. Alexander Rossi all weekend is saying, I'm not waiting around, I don't care, I'm going, and he is on his way. As you see the red box at the top of your screen, the drive-through penalty for avoidable contact for Graham Rahal.
That'll be a drive-through penalty issued to the 15 Total Honda. That will take him out of the mix at the top of this field. But what a restart from Rossi.
Terrific.
Good start by Wickens and Hinchcliffe. Hinchcliffe up to 6 now. Wickens up to 8, but Rossi pulling away.
So Simon Pagenaud bounced out of this race at the very first turn. He's with Marty.
And obviously very frustrated. You only make it one corner, and that's not a good thing for a former Long Beach winner. What was your take on the contact by the 15?
I'd have to review the video, but it seems like felt like he never broke. So yeah, it's a real shame. So now the shame is the car is totally repairable. We just need to change the toe links, and we're good to go back out. So could be very costly in the championship, and it's weird call. Real shame. We had a really good DXC technology car this weekend. I don't know what else we could have done. So on to the next one.
Graham is getting a drive-through penalty right now. You hear him drive right behind you. Does that kind of fit the crime, you think?
Well, my race is done. I didn't even make one corner, so I had a car to win the race today. So I don't think anything is gonna solve my pain or my team's pain. So it is what it is.
All right, and he mentions the car is fixable. They just need to get it back to pit road, but I don't think that's going to happen, guys. So Simon Pagenaud out here early and very disappointed.
Not all over the back of Robert Wickens for 7th and 8th right here. Sebastian Bourdais right in front of Wickens, so he's sandwiched by 2 former champions. And that's some tough competition right there, Townsend.
It really is, but he's going to learn a lot, especially following Sebastian Bourdais. Wickens, such an intelligent driver, sensational in the first 2 races. We talked about it at Phoenix, and you really get to learn a lot in these early stages. And for every driver, learning what tire you're going to want to go with at the end of this race lead. You want the softer reds, the harder blacks that might last a little longer. So quickly digesting the feedback is important. Remember, 105-degree track temperature. It was 75 for this morning's warm-up.
Look at this. This is the Honda onboard camera out of the back of Sebastian Bourdais' car, looking at Robert Wickens. This is 7th on 6th, and Tony Kanaan looming in the background. Meanwhile, up front, Alexander Rossi has a 2.5-second lead over Will Power, and Scott Dixon running 3rd. Here comes Kanaan up the inside of Wickens. Oh, they're going to hit. He makes it work. Good, clean pass, TK.
Excellent heads-up driving from Wickens, too, to just hold him tight but not force contact that would put either one out of the race. I think that was a bit of a surprise. I saw Kanaan got on the push-to-pass button on that short straight, Paul.
Yeah, conditions right now are cooler than yesterday. Fuel mileage, I think, here between Honda, Chevy, we've really got to watch that in tire wear. So we're going to watch here. Rossi's pulling away 2.5 seconds from Power, but is Power trying to save fuel so he can go as long as the Hondas?
Top of the screen, you see a penalty issued for Kyle Kaiser, the rookie. This was for unsafe pit exit. But let's take a look at this pass again. Tony Kanaan, classic. Just a couple seconds to push to pass. Going to outbrake Wickens up the inside, and Wickens, like I said, holds him tight, but doesn't push him into the wall. Smart heads-up driving. And remember, Kanaan on the red tires, Wickens on the black. Let's see what happens at the end of the stint.
Hunter-Reay on blacks towards the back of the field right now. He's got to try to make quick work of these guys and not overuse his tires and burn up the rears. Oh, see that? Getting loose coming off the corner. So Continue to keep doing that lap after lap, and you're going to kill the rear tires.
There'd be a fair bit of frustration inside the helmet of Ryan Hunter-Reay as well. He did move up 3 spots since the restart of the race, but has a lot of catching up to do.
He's going to get another one right here. He's on the push to pass, taking a look.
Speaking of making passes, guys, Marco Andretti, currently the biggest mover of the race, up 6 positions from the start. And just like the guy pulling away up front, Alexander Rossi, Marco's his teammate, so you have to think that they'd have cars and setups that are very similar, if not identical.
And Andretti is working on a pass down into turn 1. Look at this, thinks about it on the inside, thinks again, and then decides, I won't do that. Max Chilton held the line really nicely. Marty?
Hey, Lee, we've been talking about the strategy. PT was talking about that a moment ago, trying to save tires. You can make it on 2 stops. You have to save a little bit of fuel, so some will try a 3-stop race today. A lot of those teams who started on scuffed tires at the beginning of the race, including the Schmidt-Peterson cars, James Hinchcliffe, the winner here last year, and his teammate Robert Wickens, starting on scuffed tires. That would lead you to believe they're going to have a 3-stop strategy today, which means in the next lap or so, they'll be coming down pit road. You see Ryan Hunter-Reay's team on the left-hand side trying to fix that front wing they took off a moment ago in case they need that later in the race. But this strategy is going to be fun to watch today, Townsend.
For sure, and I wonder if that wing repair is a foreshadowing of what might happen later in this race as Hunter-Reay tries to work his way to the front. Maybe they expect him to use a little bit of the new front wing in order to get by. We ride again with Graham Rahal.
And we want to take you back just a few moments ago, some radio transmission between Graham Rahal and his team in regards to the Pagenaud incident. Have a listen.
All right, Graham, we got a drive-through. You got a drive-through penalty. Drive through this lap. Mind your pit speed. I knew that was coming. Sorry, boys. I tried to hit the brakes. The rear's locked. Yet again, just like St. Pete. Frustrating. You're going to want to go off strategy here now.
Talking about St. Pete, he got into the back of a car in turn 1 in St. Pete. We continue to watch this great battle with young Gabby Chavez doing a great job to hold off Hunter-Reay. It's going to be tough now. Hunter-Reay's got a good run up the outside.
Well, you can get him on the outside here. He's got to squeeze it tight. Don't run wide. Almost tire-to-tire contact, but what I'm seeing right now, Townsend, we've got 5 cars right here, all on blacks. You know, Marco's on reds, and he's pulling away from these guys. So I got to think right now, reds are an advantage over blacks.
That's a heck of a pass from Ryan Hunter-Reay to stay on the outside there and have the advantage at the next corner. I expect Hunter-Reay is going to really catch up to, I think, Spencer Piggott there just in front of him. That'll be the battle for 15th now.
Meanwhile, while all this is going on between Gabby Chavez and Ryan Hunter-Reay, this man in the Napa Auto Parts Honda, Alexander Rossi, has opened up a 3.8 second lead over Will Power. That is seriously impressive, but his practice pace and qualifying form certainly led us to believe that this would be the case today. Dixon is 3rd, Newgarden 4th, and Sebastian Bourdais runs in the top 5. Back to Long Beach in just a moment.
Hi, I'm Mateus Leist. I'm from Brazil. I'm 19. I race for a legend. And my teammate is the best driver I've ever seen. He's my hero.
Tony Kanaan, the legend, both the series champion, Indy 500 winner, and at 43 years of old, showing a good sense of humor about his teenage teammate, Mateus Leist, in the ABC Supply AJ Foyt Racing Chevrolet. It's a nice fit, and I spoke to the young Brazilian earlier this weekend. He just loves being TK's teammate. Marty, what did you see about James Hinchcliffe?
Coming down pit road, this is the first of the 3 stoppers that we talked about, Lee, and a little bit of a longer stop. Townsend, you know when it's under green flag, you don't want a longer stop. 8-8 on the stop for James Hinchcliffe, and his team said the car was almost undrivably loose, according to him. So wing adjustment and some scuffed black tires, primary tires going on for James Hinchcliffe.
And there you see Ed Jones go by Hinchcliffe. Ed Jones had also pitted on lap 12, so that was a battle for position with the 3-stop strategy as you played out, as you explained there, Marty. So I'm kind of surprised to see Hinch go with the 3-stopper, but I think the SPM team wants to cover their bases. Wickens, the teammate, on a 2-stop, it appears for now.
Teammates here battling each other. Ryan Hunter-Reay has been using the push to pass. He's got to run now on push to pass. Green lights lit up.
On his teammate, Marco Andretti. Marco defending up the inside.
A little bit of the Pruitt fade, but he's going to get him, Townsend.
Marco giving him space. It was good. So another one off the list for Captain America, Ryan Hunter-Reay. Pushing that DHL Honda beautifully back through the field. And you might hear Paul and Townsend joke occasionally about the Pruitt fade. That, of course, was today's Grand Marshal, Scott Pruitt. Did he do that to you a few times, Peter?
Oh, many times. He did it to everybody. He was the master of keeping guys behind them without making it look like he's blocking.
Well, and then he slammed into me under yellow, I think, because he was tired of hearing about the Pruitt fade when I was racing in Road Atlanta. So thanks for that, Paul.
You're welcome.
So Alexander Rossi still leads by 3.8 seconds. Here is Hunter-Reay on Max Chilton. This is for 11th position. Howard Dixon Bourdais and Josef Newgarden in the top 5 has just hit pit lane. Here he is.
Josef Newgarden making his first stop, so I didn't believe him when he was telling me we might consider a 3-stop. He was telling me the truth. You see a big front wing adjustment there for Newgarden, so one of the front runners looking, unless there's a lot of yellow, at 3-stop strategy. Matthias Leist also in early.
Is there a slight element of surprise to you guys to see this? Because the general consensus was a straightforward 2-stop race.
I'm surprised, but I think Rossi's car is just so good. And when your car is that good, you can make phenomenal fuel mileage and really not wear the tires. So I got to wonder if these guys are slipping and sliding and burning fuel. And I'm just not sure if Rossi's going to go that strategy.
And he's making it look easy, isn't he, PT, out there on a Sunday cruise? Alexander Rossi been so fast all weekend long. And you've got to wonder, when he gets out to a big lead like this, if it's really the car or what they're doing right now, as he almost tried to pass a lap car right there. But what they're doing, PT, you mentioned the Honda's getting much better fuel mileage than the Chevrolet. So I think Will Power and those guys kind of have backed it down. And I think Alexander Rossi has a little bit more free reign and a little bit more rope to go as fast as he wants here early in this run.
Except when he catches a lap car like Clayman DeMello up there. DeMello fighting hard, the rookie, to stay on the lead lap, and Rossi has to be very careful that he doesn't take a sure thing and throw it away.
Yeah, he's pulling away a little bit now, but he was all over the back of him, and DeMello blocked the inside, made him go to the outside, and really was not having it. So, but he must be on fresh tires now, because you see he's pulling away now from Rossi.
For those of you just joining us, Alexander Rossi has led every lap thus far in this Grand Prix of Long Beach. Simon Pagenaud, Long Beach winner and series champion, is out. And he didn't even make it to turn 1. He was hit by Graham Rahal.
Push to pass, so he wants by this lap car. He's on the push to pass. I think he's a little too far back right now.
He's not going to be happy about the previous lap, but he's not close enough, as you said, Paul. So DeMello doing a good job, and you're right. DeMello pitted on 14, so lap 14, he's on a 3-stop strategy. Fresh tires, and you see the hedge and the dirt in the fountain as DeMello climbs the curb.
And then, look, it's not emergency sirens just yet, but Rossi has lost half a second to Will Power. Kev?
Tony Kanaan is in, likely on a 3-stop strategy. Really good start. He picked up a couple of spots, cycled up to 5th, and he's back out.
Got his first ever IndyCar pole here back in 1999, Tony Kanaan. Very special memories of Long Beach. It is for all of the drivers, whether you're a veteran like TK or for the rookies. And there are 7 making their first time IndyCar start here on the streets of Long Beach.
So it looks like the guys that are going to try to go 2-stop are Bourdais, Wickens, King, still running. Rossi, Power, Dixon. These guys are still out there running laps. So we're seeing cars that are faster on fresh tires, but these guys are trying to do the fuel mileage and do a 2-stopper.
Right now, I don't see the pace of the 3-stop playing out. Maybe more of a yellow situation where you get lucky on a yellow, but we'll have to see here because Rossi's pace looks exceptional on used reds.
Hunter-Reay back in the top 10. He's in the top 10 now in 8th now with all these pit stops going on.
You see this blue, black and white car, the MyJack entry. That's Takuma Sato, who has won here on the streets of Long Beach, Kev, but it hasn't been a straightforward weekend altogether.
No, it hasn't. They were impeded in qualifying, and they didn't have a chance to advance. Thought they had a much better car than what ultimately showed, and he's worked his way all the way from the back to mid-pack now to the start of this race. And also an interesting opportunity for him to visit with Shohei Ohtani, who has been a sensation in Major League Baseball. Takuma was here in LA a couple of weeks ago, threw out the first pitch, met Ohtani, the Japanese slugger and pitcher who hit his first career home run that day. He's the first Major League Baseball player in 100 years to be a full-time hitter and a full-time pitcher. He's actually pitching today. He's 2-0, and he's already got 3 home runs on the season. And Taguga says, I'm a big baseball fan. I'm enjoying his success.
And Ohtani is a rock star in his native Japan. He's going to be a rock star here in a very short period of time, that's for sure. Is Charlie Kimball driving for Carlin Racing in the Traceiver entry. What have you got on him, Katie?
Well, I was talking to Charlie Kimball just before he climbed in today, and remember, he's with a brand new team here in the Verizon IndyCar Series, and I asked him, what's the biggest struggle? And he says, we only have 2 guys that have ever even worked in the series. So think about that for just a minute, because IndyCar goes to several different types of tracks. We just came from a short oval. Now here on the streets of Long Beach, they're still learning every single day, Lee.
But Carlin Racing, of course, in Europe and the UK is a legendary racing organisation with so much success, and there have been, Trevor Carlin has done an amazing job with so many young drivers, some on their way to Formula One, some on their way to being Formula One World Champions, others on their way here to IndyCar, and almost 50% of the field of the drivers in IndyCar right here today has spent at least a test or some kind of series with Carlin.
And this is a very encouraging sign to see that young team with Charlie Kimball challenge Marco Andretti and the team that so far today has the measure of the field with this guy, Alexander Rossi.
Yeah, can anybody go with Alexander Rossi? 3.5 seconds out in front of Will Power. Power's got just over a second over Scott Dixon. It's close for the others, but will it be close for the lead? Early stages of the Grand Prix of Long Beach here on your home of motorsport, NBCSN. 22 laps down, and Alexander Rossi still well and truly in control. The yellow car you see on the right-hand side of your screen there is Ryan Hunter-Reay. That is Rossi's teammate at Andretti Autosport. Had some troubles in qualifying and is now storming his way back through the field after a front wing problem early in the race. Doesn't that give you a great shot of this 2-mile track shoreline drive? There's the race leader, and that was in reference from teammate to teammate.
And I have to wonder, as dominant as Rossi's been, does Rob Edwards start to consider to pit him the earliest he can on the 2-stop strategy to protect against the yellow? Because that would be a killer if they stay out and a yellow comes out.
He's got more lap traffic now in front of him, so he's got some gap to Will Power, but he's starting now into the back of the field. So he's got to make quick work of these guys now if he's going to hold on to this big lead.
And PT, you see Rob Edwards on the right-hand side of your screen. He just radioed to Alexander Rossi a moment ago, said, we're going to blacks on the stop. Do you want any changes? He said, absolutely not, although he did say the car was getting a little bit freer. They want to get to lap 24 right here, at least to this point, maybe a lap further, Townsend, so they can make sure that they can make it on 2 stops. But that was the goal, Rob Edwards told me earlier this morning. But what a fantastic race for Alexander Rossi thus far, with 60 friends and family looking on. The California kid would love nothing more than a win here at Long Beach.
Pick 3.
3 laps till they pit. You hear Rob Edwards say pit 3.
Maintaining that gap at about 3.5 seconds. So this is not really costing them a ton of time. But you definitely got to see. We're going to see here in the next couple laps whether the Chevy can make the fuel mileage that the Honda makes, as we see Wickens now coming down pit lane in a Honda.
Again, a very impressive performance for the rookie, Robert Wickens. Pit stop number 1.
And Lee, he's going to have to get all the Sunoco fuel in here, pitting earlier than everybody else, going on this 2-tire strategy. You see those red tires going on for Robert Wickens and taking a little bit longer here.
Something going on.
And they just told him to download. So a problem, obviously, for Robert Wickens sitting here on pit road is Alexander Rossi coming down pit road on this next stop as well.
I can tell you some of our wonderful production crew here out on the cameras reported back in to our director. They heard this car misfiring.
So frustrating to be in contention for a win as Wickens gets going, to come to pit lane racing, and I tell you, we've got to download the computer.
Unbelievable. Here's the race leader in, Marty.
And what a smooth race has been for Alexander Rossi, leading all the laps to this point, Lee. And again, said he wanted no changes, said the car was just a little bit free. Ryan Hunter-Reay's in the hairpin right now. He had to pit earlier, but Rossi here on pit road, the leader, just wanting a smooth stop. They're going to put on those sticker primary tires and no changes. And that was a quick stop for the at 27, but she should be able to hold on to the lead once all the pit stops cycle through, guys.
We watch Hunter Ray, but watch for Power. Now he's got some clear road. He's able to go longer than Rossi. He's got to rip off a quick lap here, and he can either close that gap or be right with him at the pit exit.
I'm not sure if Will Power can touch the outlap of Alexander Rossi, the pace of Alexander Rossi, but I agree with you, Paul. It's going to be close. Let's listen to the motor of Alexander Rossi. Sorry, Wickens. That to me sounds like a gearbox issue, so perhaps they were resetting the GCU, the gearbox control unit, because it sounded like he couldn't find a gear.
Rossi has a nice clear outlap, so he's got a nice road ahead of him to put in a quick lap on his outlap, but we're going to see a Power. We'll listen to Wickens again. Still having problems, so they have not fixed that problem. As he comes back down pit lane.
This is the guy who could easily have had 2 victories to start his maiden IndyCar season. St. Petersburg, there was the collision with Alexander Rossi, and then just a week ago at Phoenix, look at the frustration in the cockpit.
It's dead stick now. It's not even running, I don't think.
Engine's running, but I think the gearbox selection is maybe an issue. You can see the hand in the air. He's trying to explain to the team what he's dealing with.
Looks like Power's going 2 laps further than Rossi. If he really rips off some laps here, it's going to be close, I think, when they get out of the pit lane. So we're going to have to watch for when Power dives in.
And especially we'll watch to see how fast that Penske pit stop is. You know they've got the ability to make up a second or 2 on pit lane when they nail it.
108.2 on Power's last lap. So he's definitely running quicker times than Rossi was at the end of his stint.
With thanks to Honda, let's go for a ride with Sebastian Bourdais in the nose cam.
What a fantastic view of the streets of Long Beach, courtesy of Sebastian Bourdais and Honda. And the car's been pretty good. And I think actually in this first stint, Kevin, he might be the winner. Started furthest forward of those on the primary tires. And you see one of the cars pitting right here, Takuma Sato, heading out right now. So he'll be able to put on the red tires while everybody puts out some primaries on this next stop. So Sebastian Bourdais thinking he can make some ground in the second stint.
Watching the monitors, I noticed Scott Dixon, the Iceman, using the push to pass button, not because he's trying to make a move on the track. He's just trying to get his green flag pace as strong as he can during this green flag pit sequence.
And they're working on their 4th lap longer than Rossi. So this is really going to play out. We know now for sure that Rossi might be in jeopardy of doing this in 2 stops.
But I like the strategy from Rob Edwards. You have the fastest car on the track, take the insurance policy, make sure you don't get caught out with a yellow. I think Rossi should be okay, but these guys are doing everything they can to make sure they leapfrog.
But what do you think about Power here with traffic ahead? It's time to come in.
I agree.
Yes.
And Jordan King is experiencing something brand new in the Verizon IndyCar Series. He's never felt pickup on his tires, so he was dealing with an extremely loose race car on that stint. They're going to go back-to-back stints with those sticker blacks.
And the guy that is really helped by Power catching traffic is Scott Dixon. This is the beautiful green flag, or pit in lap or lap before you pit lap for Dixon. He's been on push to pass, and this could play out perfectly for the Ganassi driver.
And
watch
Bourdais,
the exit here.
look at Bourdais now in the picture as well. Will Power stays out.
Wow.
So they're going to go again. So these guys, Dixon and Bourdais, will close the gap on
Pit
Power.
Pit this lap.
Bourdais,
Sticker red tires.
Bourdais,
Turn from wing.
Bourdais coming in for reds. Next lap.
And luckily, during all of this for Alexander Rossi, clean racetrack. No traffic in front of him. He's turning quick laps right now. So it's going to be very close, I think, Paul, after these guys cycle through with Power, Dixon, and Bourdais.
But what's pit delta here? 30, 35 seconds?
Something like that.
So it's a 32 second. Now it's down to 31 seconds from Power to Alexander Rossi.
It'll be very close.
We'll see if these guys all come together
and have a drag race on pit road, NHRA style, three up. So we'll see. They definitely don't want to hang around behind these lap cars for too long.
Do you think they made a mistake leaving Power out for that extra lap?
Well, I think it was good to leave him out until he caught traffic for too long.
Because not only has he lost time to Alexander Rossi, Scott Dixon's got even closer to the tune of a second. So who comes in, who stays out? Here they all come.
Yeah, they're all
Top
coming.
3. Let's see who has the best crew on pit road.
Well, Lee, they call Scott Dixon the Iceman, not only because he sneaks up on you on track, but he's also been silent on the radio this entire time. The team is just going to switch from those Firestone Reds to those sticker blacks and to turn a front wing, Marty.
And the point the guys in the booth were making, Katie, a moment ago about the fact that Alexander Rossi was able to get on that clean racetrack. That was key. Will Power here with sticker primary tires 8-9 on the stop from Sebastian Bourdais with the sticker red tires and the drag race down pit road. We'll see where they cycle out with all the leaders.
They're going to be right there. They're going to be right there.
Here comes Rossi. Rossi to the front easily. But look at that. Scott Dixon jumps Will Power. Ganassi versus Penske on pit lane, and Ganassi wins.
Cut that orange line pretty close.
Boy, that was very close coming out of their respective pit boxes.
Bourdais had a very poor stop. Newgarden now right on the back on hot tires. He might have a shot right here at Will Power. He's got to be careful he doesn't get into it with his teammate. Newgarden on hot tires and push to pass. Cold tires for the cars in front.
So there goes the race. There goes the effective race leader, Alexander Rossi. And we climb aboard with him.
Alexander Rossi making a rear anti-roll bar adjustment. Let's watch the pit stop ahead. Again, this is Dixon already in the fast lane, Power in the slow lane. Dixon with the advantage. Look at Power. I think he might have come off the pit speed button for a second there, Paul.
Yeah, I don't know, but it was a really bad stop for Bourdais. He lost a lot of ground, as we see Hunter Ray in the pits.
He cycled back up to the lead. Now, he effectively was running fifth, but that's still a couple of spots better than he started. And now he's back on even playing field with those on the two-stop strategy. He's got one more stop to go. No changes this time. And he goes from black primaries to another set of scuffed black primaries. So he's still got the sticker reds to go.
Newgarden now has gotten by Power and into third place. So we missed that on camera. They were battling each other on the out lap. As we see Hunter Ray come back out on track, but now Newgarden up to third.
Hunter Ray back on track, just behind Jones, it looks like. Here's Dixon, has a nice gap to Power. Newgarden, and then Newgarden, nice gap to Will Power. Identical Verizon liveries for those guys, save for the red highlights on the number 12, and there's Bourdais, so this will be a good fight.
Yeah, this is a we got champions lined up here. Multiple time champions lined up, all nose to tail.
And we'll give you a time check shortly. What is the difference between Rossi and the chasing Scott Dixon? We're back in a moment. Did you know that you can watch every IndyCar race online, on mobile, on tablets and connected TV devices as well with the NBC Sports app? Download it and find out more at nbcsports.com. Welcome back to the Grand Prix of Long Beach. Lee Diffie, Paul Tracy, Townsend Bell, and racing lap 35 of 85. So fast approaching the halfway mark of this one. A race that has been dominated by this man here in the Napa Andretti Honda. That is Alexander Rossi.
Well, right now.
Yeah, TK, right now, or PT right now, Alexander Rossi making it look easy here on the streets of Long Beach, isn't he? And he would love to win here in his home state. They gained 5 seconds by pitting a little bit earlier than everybody else. Talked to Rob Edwards, his strategist, a moment ago. He said because the Hondas get so much better fuel mileage, we're able to do that. They want to run about 28 laps on this stint, Katie, but make it look good here in Long Beach.
Well, Marty, speaking of winning here on the streets of Long Beach, that's something Scott Dixon feels he should have done the last 2 years. In 2016, there was a pit exit controversy. There was also some different strategy calls in 2017. Now Scott Dixon is on the hunt, but dealing with a little bit of a loose rear end.
And Josef Newgarden is the front runner that's on a different strategy. He came in on lap 16 when talking with him before the race. He said, this one's going to be really tricky, but I like to gamble. If we don't think we have a chance to win going with a straightforward two-stop strategy, I'm game for going after him. That's what he's doing, and he might have a chance, Marty.
Right behind him, Sebastian Bourdais with those red tires on, trying to make a little bit of ground. You hear him in the background, James Hinchcliffe pitting right now, but Bourdais doing a very good job. Said the car was a little bit free on that very first run, not making the ground they expected, though, with these red tires. Will Power is behind him. He's on the primary black tires for Will Power, and it would be a nice result just to get a top 5 at Long Beach for Will Power, but he would love to be on the podium after the start of the season they've had. 14th in the championship standings right now, Kevin.
Marty, this is a really good start to this race for Tony Kanaan. Keep in mind, they've somewhat rebuilt that team. He's brought about half the guys over that he knows. We're going to see Kanaan coming in, running in 6th. A little gap between him and Will Power. And the Kanaan family is going to be getting a little bit bigger sometime soon. Lauren is here. I think this is the first time most folks in the IndyCar community have seen her in public, and she is 4 months pregnant. So the 4th young Kanaan will be joining us here in about 5 months or so. Then Ryan Hunter-Reay, his former teammate, running in 7th. All things considered, when you take wing damage on the opening lap, he actually came together a little bit with Scott Dixon back where he started. 7th position as we go on board with Ryan Hunter-Reay. The car is quick, now on similar footing as everyone else. He's still got a chance for what would be his 3rd top 5 in 3 races. Ed Jones running in the 8th position right behind him. It's been a rough weekend often for Ed Jones. They struggled at times, didn't get the qualifying effort what they wanted. Dario Franchitti is not here this weekend working with Formula E, but they actually still converse. Dario downloads all the data, looks at what's going on, and Ed does say he gets something really out of him.
Jordan King in the 20, the Fuzzies. Ed Carpenter Racing Chevrolet. This is his first time on the streets of Long Beach, doing really well. Graduating out of F2, came over from Europe to race in the US this year, and Alexander Rossi has caught some traffic.
A lot of traffic now in front as he makes easy work of Leist. But right now, as we sit, Townsend, when you've got a big lead like this, when you're in 2nd place and you can't see the guy anymore and he's gone, you don't really try to chase anymore. You're just trying to maintain your gap to what you have to the guy behind you in 3rd.
Yeah, wait and see if a yellow comes along. And for Alexander Rossi, I think he learned a lot earlier when he was trying to pass DeMello and put him a lap down. Looks like a lot more patient Alexander Rossi. I think now he knows, I've got the best car out here. I don't need to push it. I'm sure Rob Edwards is coaching him through that. And this guy is just tearing up the streets of Long Beach.
Well, it wasn't that long ago that he had a 7.8 second lead. It's now 8.5 seconds. Alexander Rossi is on a mission.
Bourdais has now moved up to 3rd. He's gotten by Power and Newgarden, so Bourdais on the move. He is right behind Dixon, only a couple tenths of a second behind him.
For this lanky Californian who had his eyes on Formula One and got there, he did 5 Formula One Grand Prix, but it's proving to be the Verizon IndyCar Series where he's had his greatest success. As many of you already know, Wednesday nights are a wild ride on NASCAR America. Dale Earnhardt Jr. joins the gang. That's Wednesdays with Dale Jr., 5 o'clock Eastern, right here on NBCSN. Dale's been doing a wonderful job. Love his insights, got a good sense of humor. And it's nice to have him part of the family. As we welcome you back, Alexander Rossi still leads this Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach. Meanwhile, let's get you up to speed with what has happened thus far. Look to the far side of the track, lap 1, turn 1, Graham Rahal into Simon Pagenaud, and that was day done for the Frenchman.
Riding on board with Graham, and he just totally overcooks it into turn 1. He knew it when it happened. Nothing he could do once it was too late. And unfortunately for Pagenaud, it's game over.
Trouble for Robert Wickens. We're not really sure if it was an engine problem or a gearbox problem, but he has got work to do in the pit lane, but it was an end to the big run he had the first 2 races.
What a shame, and there is a full course caution for the 2nd time in this race, and that looked like Kyle Kaiser in the Juncos Racing entry. Meanwhile, Tony Kanaan had already pitted before that yellow came out. While it came out, there is Kyle Kaiser, the young Californian.
And this, if you are a 2-stop strategy driver and team today, you have the option. If you're at the back of that 2-stop field, maybe you switch to a 3-stop. But for Alexander Rossi, Marty, I wonder what they're going to do.
Right now, they're talking about possibly staying out, but it's been fun for Alexander Rossi here in his home state. Take a listen on the radio.
Well, this is fun. Yeah, well, you know, you haven't seen anyone else all afternoon. You may as well have some fun now.
And that was Rob Edwards talking about when he was going around some lap cars. You know, he said, when I first came to Long Beach, it's one of the very few tracks, being very candid, that I actually liked in the IndyCar circuit, and I want to take advantage of those tracks I like. But this caution, Townsend, is going to make things interesting for strategists like Rob Edwards.
For sure, and we had dinner with Alexander Rossi the other night, very dry sense of humor. And when he says this is fun, that means I don't enjoy dealing with these lap cars one bit.
See the hashtag JB17. That's a mark of respect and a tribute to the late Jules Bianchi, because Jules drove for the Manor/Marussia Formula One team, tragically lost his life after that accident in the Japanese Grand Prix, and of course that's the same team that Alexander did his 5 Formula One Grand Prix with and was a friend of Jules in Europe. That's a lovely tribute.
Well, we're going to find out now whether these guys pit on this yellow and see if other guys cycle to the front and really jumble the field up. So there's a bunch of cars that have pitted already. Newgarden especially has done a pit stop. So if these guys pit, it's going to cycle them back in the middle of the field.
I think for most of the leaders, they'd stay out because you've got to get to about lap 52, 53 to really stretch it on one more stop. So I think the track position is going to be everything today.
See this shot here, and if you've already said this to yourself at home, boy, there seems to be a lot of rubber down on the track. You can't believe what's been going on this weekend. There's been Formula Drift, there's been IMSA, there's been Pirelli World Challenge, there's been
Stadium Super Trucks.
Trans Am. There's been all kinds of series on all kinds of rubber, just about every tire manufacturer you could imagine. So yes, there is a lot of rubber down on the streets of Long Beach. Great weekend for the fans, though. See all of those different types of cars and racing.
Action-packed, non-stop, all weekend racing.
Got to say congratulations to the man behind this event, Jim McCallion, who's been here respectfully forever. Jim and his staff do just a wonderful job of this Grand Prix of Long Beach. And some of you may have already seen this. This is from AJ, or Drew Fustel, who is an astronaut, and he is regularly tweeting about where the Verizon IndyCar series is, and the view from high above. How cool is that? And we once had Drew in our TV compound in Houston one year, and he thought that our TV trucks were pretty cool. It's like, hang on a minute, you're an astronaut. That's cool.
I saw him finding a few other racetracks around the world recently. Some Formula One action. I imagine he's checking out what's going on over in Bristol. But these fans, as we talked about, really enjoying the show this weekend, and they've come out in force. And so many great places to watch this race, whether it's up high in a condo, standing behind the fences, or enjoying a grandstand seat. This is Southern California at its best.
Just such a wonderful atmosphere. I mean, it's not just us, the drivers, everybody really enjoys this event. It's an annual thing to do. That's why I asked you earlier in IndyCar Live at the pre-race show, Paul, you must have pinched yourself to have won this once, let alone 4 times. Meanwhile, let's head down to the pits.
Let's check in with Rob Edwards, the man who's kind of made all the right calls today, and the driver doing an excellent job as well. Caution kind of throw a wrench into any strategy, Rob?
I'd have been happy if it hadn't happened, but that's the way it goes. So, you know, it doesn't really hurt our plan or hurt our strategy. So we can stick with what we're doing, and one more stop till the end.
Obviously, you'll be staying out, I'm assuming here, correct?
That's correct, yeah.
Talk about the job Alexander has done and then the pace he's been able to set. And when you made the call to give him some clean road, he was able to take advantage of it.
Yeah, exactly. He's, you know, he's been on all weekend, right? And I think just picked up where he left off at Phoenix last weekend. And, you know, he's doing a very good job with the speed, but also doing a good job looking after the car as well.
Fantastic day for Alexander Rossi thus far. We'll see if they can finish it out, Katie.
Well, Scott Dixon is trying to hunt down Alexander Rossi, so let's talk to Mike Hull, the man that makes the calls for the 9 team. Mike, are you going to bring Scott in on this yellow?
No, we'll stay out. We're on a 2-stop strategy here. You know, some people came early, so it's 3 for them. So you guys could probably do the math and figure out who's who here in the zoo. But we'll try to get to, I don't know, in the 50s somewhere maybe, and see what happens.
What's it going to take to catch Alexander today?
Good luck, maybe. He's pretty fast. He's got a great Honda car, and so do we. So we'll just see what happens when we get down to when it really counts.
It's going to be an interesting second half of this race, Lee.
Looking forward to it. And that special relationship that Mike Hull and Scott Dixon have, especially when it comes to strategy calls, has been going on for such a long time. So much history here in Long Beach, the port of Long Beach, and this whole area. It is a great place to be, especially when there's racing going on. With just 40 laps to go, you join us at the perfect time, ready for a restart here in Long Beach, the Grand Prix of Long Beach. Do we see green? Let's go!
Green.
Alexander Rossi does go. He gets another blinding restart.
And for Alexander Rossi, a huge boost that there's 3 lap cars between Rossi and the orange car you see. That's Scott Dixon. So Rossi's going to be able to get away. Now Bourdais trying to close on Dixon for position.
The etiquette when you're a lap down to the leaders to let guys go. Big lock up there. A little bit of a squeeze job on Marco, but these guys should kind of get out of the way for Dixon, but they're all fighting for position.
Aboard the Lucas Oil machine of James Hinchcliffe, who's buried a little further back in the pack. Meanwhile, this yellow, this most recent yellow, look who it helps. Ryan Hunter-Reay, who's under siege from Jordan King. And has Hunter-Reay got troubles? He has.
I think he's got a flat,
right rear
tire.
I got rear end damage.
Not sure if he got into the wall or somebody got in the back of Hunter-Reay, and that is
hugely
unfortunate for Hunter-Reay, who had worked his way all the way up to 5th.
He was in a really good position. What happened to Hunter-Reay?
But watch this battle. Dixon, Bourdais, and Power.
Get a nice drag race down the front straightaway here. Will Power now right on the tail of Bourdais.
And turn 1's going to be a cluster here, Paul, with 3 lap cars and 3 people battling for second.
Push to pass for Bourdais. Look at this double draft right here. Watch, he's going to
Dixon
slice to the outside.
3 wide.
Oh.
Piggott
in
on
the
the
pill.
inside.
Look at that.
Bourdais, what a move!
What a pass. That was unbelievable.
Can you believe what we have just seen? Sebastian Bourdais, the 39-year-old IndyCar veteran, just shot like a bullet straight through 2 of them. Kept it off the wall outside turn 1. That was amazing.
I promise you, the first 50% of that brake zone, he was thinking, uh-oh, I am way out of control. And then he gathered it back up to make it happen. Let's take a look again.
He was in the pit lane a little bit, so I don't know if there's going to be any penalty for that because he kind of lined it up in the pit lane. We'll have to wait and see. This is the incident with Hunter-Reay. Looks like King, he blocked King and they touched tires and he immediately got a flat right there.
Well,
but if we get back to Bourdais, I think he went into the pit lane and lined it up and went across the track.
Let's watch this again. Hunter-Reay with a huge moment and a massive save, but now he gets too defensive.
Yeah, he cost himself. Watch this. Watch. Does he go in the pit lane here? Watch. He's over. No, he didn't. That's super clean move. Unbelievable.
And you know who else it was heads up driving by? Matthias Leist,
yes,
who saw him coming.
Watch
Let's
this.
ride and enjoy.
Well, he did cross over that blue line. I don't know if there's a penalty for that or not.
Paul, I've been watching the Long Beach Grand Prix since I was 12 years old, and I have never seen a move like that in turn 1 work out.
Awesome.
So someone's watching after this Frenchman today.
Usually a move like that ends up in that driver's right wall outside on the exit of turn 1.
Along with others.
Yes. So Sebastian Bourdais up to second, and he's 4.3 seconds behind race
This is the
leader.
coolest pass ever. Let's go catch Rossi.
Craig Hampson, high praise from the pit stand.
If you didn't quite catch what Craig said, he said that was the coolest pass ever. Now let's go catch Rossi.
Hunter-Reay now lap down, had to come in and get tires, so he's now pretty much struggling now. It's the end of the day for him in terms of getting a win.
Let's do what we can to get around Kimball here, bud. Marco's due to pit up, and it'll give us some clear track.
Well, Power still stuck behind those lap cars, so he's lost a lot of space to Rossi, 6.5 seconds behind. So the battle now is really between Rossi and Bourdais. Can Bourdais close that gap? It's 4.5 seconds already.
And we're already to lap 50. And Marty, I'd expect a lot of these guys to start thinking about their last stop with about lap 55, maybe 54. What do you hear?
Correct. That was the plan before, Townsend. They were thinking lap 54, 55. That caution may have bought them a little bit of time. And what that does, that makes the window a little bit wider for that last stop, meaning you can come in and run a little bit harder if you pit a little bit later. So I think you might see some teams stretch it to about lap 58 or so. But yes, they are starting to think pit stop down here, maybe the final stop of the day.
And just like with the earlier sequence, there's a gamble. If you stay out, you run the risk of being hurt by yellow. If you come in early as insurance, you might have to save a little fuel to get to the end.
This is Takuma Sato. Problems on the MyJack Rahal Letterman Lanigan Honda. Meanwhile, Ryan Hunter-Reay back up to speed as Will Power gets by laced. He's got his teammate Josef Newgarden right behind as well once he clears the Brazilian rookie.
Definitely harder work for these guys to get by. Bourdais passed them all at once on the restart.
That yellow really helped Josef Newgarden. He was on a 3-stop strategy. This closed up the gap, so he's now right in the hunt with all the front runners, and there's some urgency now for the 12 and the 1, the 2 Verizon Penske cars, to get through this lap traffic, and don't let Scott Dixon and Sebastian Bourdais get away.
By the way, the man on screen, Josef Newgarden, who came into today's race, the championship points leader, would not be in that position if things stay as they are. Alexander Rossi would take over the lead of the Verizon IndyCar Series. If he wins today, he'd be the 3rd different winner in as many races. What a start to the season. There's Tim Cindric, president of Team Penske, watching on, calling the strategy for a long time for Will Power, switched over to Josef Newgarden's box.
Power and Newgarden on push to pass. Newgarden slicing down the inside here, but not close enough. That's really going to hurt because Power's now clear of these two, but they are right now 4-5 seconds behind Dixon at this point, in just a matter of a couple of laps.
Power with 161 seconds of push to pass. That's the most in the field right now. So Power needs to use that power at strategic points if he's going to make up the ground to Dixon.
So it's 4.6 seconds between Alexander Rossi and Sebastian Bourdais. Bourdais was quicker than Rossi last time around, but did lose some time the lap prior to that. Meanwhile, Ryan Hunter-Reay is down in 19th position, and Newgarden finally gets by Matthias Leist.
So now Newgarden will go to fast work on Max Chilton, also a lap down. Pretty good exit for Newgarden. He might have a chance here. Let's see if he goes to push to pass, and he does. So Newgarden's on the button, has the draft down Shoreline Drive, and then he'll try to catch up to his teammate.
Guys, deeper into the top 10. Here goes Josef Newgarden on Chilton. Fairly straightforward there. Deeper into the top 10. 2 drivers doing an outstanding job. Jordan King, the rookie, in just his 2nd Verizon IndyCar Series race, is running 6th. And so to Ed Jones in 8th and Zach Veach in 9th. Really good efforts from those 3 respective drivers.
Spoke with team owner Ed Carpenter this morning about his rookie driver, Jordan King, and he had great things to say. He said he's very smart, listens to all the advice we give him, and he's fast. He said he gets up to speed faster than anybody's ever seen in terms of getting to the limit of the tire and learning a new track.
Hey guys, I'm going to take a little bit of luster off that pass of Sebastian Bourdais. Race control says he has to give the position back to Dixon. He went over the line on pit exit.
That's what I thought. I saw him go over that blue line into the pit lane, and he's going to have to back up.
I don't know, Paul. I think what I remember is he got maybe forced here by the 9.
The blue line right here, that blue line is the pit lane. So you cannot go over that blue line, and then it turns to yellow. But I saw that.
I have to laugh. I mean, not only is he in pit lane, but the fact that he tried to shoot that gap on Matthias Leist is just hilarious. I was going to say I thought Dixon might have forced him over. Maybe not so much, but this was the magic moment. You see daylight, I guess you go for it if you're Sebastian Bourdais. It worked out, but it's a shame that he has to give up the position.
Well, this is really going to let Rossi get away because he's going to have to slow down, and he's going to stretch out now to
do it soon, or they're going to get upset with us.
So that's Craig Hampson, Sebastian Bourdais' race engineer, saying you better do it soon, and there it is.
He's got to get back on his bike and get on the attack on Shoreline Drive, get right up on the back. And he's faster than Dixon, so we know he can get by, and we know he can brake late. He's right there.
I always find the wave bys or the allowing someone to pass you back kind of amusing. It's a bit like picking the boxer up off the
push
ring.
To pass.
Yeah, and then hitting him again.
He's got to run.
And obviously Bourdais was not happy with that that call. He said that was the incorrect call to the team. They said, yep, we know. You heard Craig Hampson say.
Big braking maneuver.
Let's do it again.
And he got the spot back anyway, guys. There you go. How about that?
I did it once. I had a practice run. Let's go again.
Sebastian Bourdais demonstrating threshold braking.
Nice job.
He picked him back up and slammed him one more time for good measure. And now Bourdais is going to, I think, be on the charge. He'll be furious about the penalty, and I think that bodes well for his pace here as he tries to capture Alexander Rossi.
He gave it back for 2 corners. That was it. But it's cost him because now Rossi is 6.5 seconds down the road, and they can't see him anymore. Look, he's gone.
Let's not lose sight of the fact we watched a couple of examples and a couple of transactions, if you want to call it, between 2 4-time champions. That's some great racing, good passing, exciting times here on the streets of Long Beach, entertaining times, that's for sure.
At home, you saw Alexander Rossi, the man who's dominated, leading all but 7 laps so far at Long Beach today, make his final pit stop and what they think will be the final stop. They put on scuffed primary tires for Rossi. He did say he wanted a wing adjustment, Townsend, for the end of this run, but he has been dominant. Let's see if he can hang on to the lead here in this final stint of the day.
Rossi took an additional half-turn of front wing, and I can't say enough about Robert Wiggins not involved in the battle, and he held up on the front straightaway to allow Alexander Rossi to get out in front of him. That is a first-class move from the rookie Canadian.
1 turn of front wing is a 1/2 degree total wing, so half turn, quarter of a degree, so not a big change. This guy right here needs to lay down some hot laps if he's going to close the gap.
Yeah, but it's 6 seconds. I mean, it would take a miracle at this point for Bourdais to make up that much time on these 2 laps.
Seen him do it before.
But I'll tell you what.
I've had a 6-second lead on Bourdais and came out of the pits and he's in front of me and I'm like, what the heck just happened?
I'll tell you what, though, if there's a caution or any way for Bourdais to get to the tail of Rossi, the way that he's put on moves in turn 1, anything's possible with 25 to go.
We just got to keep an eye on the lap times.
Turn 5, 6, 7, down to turn 8. This is the run onto the back straight. Sebastian Bourdais, just over a second over Scott Dixon, and then Alexander Rossi. So, where is Rossi back? He's some 30 seconds back. So, pit Bourdais sooner rather than later. We'll see what the team thinks.
I think they would probably try to rip off some fast laps here, and they are going to. So that's going to be.
Are you going to want any changes with the red tires? Maybe another half a turn of front wing.
Just like Alexander Rossi, Bourdais thinking about it, saying, maybe another half a turn of front wing as you see Takuma Sato come out right in front of Dixon, but gets out of the way.
King, one of 7 rookies racing here in Long Beach today, and has done a really nice job. Didn't finish the race at St. Petersburg in Florida at the season opener. Tell us more about Jordan, Katie.
Well, because this is just his 2nd race in IndyCar, Lee. He is still learning the personality of an IndyCar, so he hasn't quite adjusted to those red tires yet. He did back-to-back stints on the black tires, but for this final stint, he'll go to those reds and get some learning experience.
Here is Chip Ganassi Racing's Ed Jones, who was the Verizon IndyCar Series Rookie of the Year last year. He was headed for a podium result a week ago in Phoenix, but ended up putting the NTT data car in the wall. This is a very solid run, and Jones could have a good top 10. Let's head to pit road. Here's Marty.
Hey, Dev, speaking of solid runs, Will Power's having a nice run, but they're going to do something a little bit different than Sebastian Bourdais. You heard that radio conversation a moment ago for that team, having some trouble getting the right front on here for Will Power and his teammates live on the stop. You see the primary tires going on, a very small air pressure adjustment as well. When Bourdais comes down pit road, they're going to put on those red tires, so that could be a nice little duel to watch and see how all this cycles out.
clear exit for power so he could get some good outlap.
Rossi went flying by, and that is huge.
That is Zach Clayman DeMello.
And that is bad for Bourdais and Dixon. For these guys that have pitted now, they're still on track. Full course caution. Rossi has done his pit stop, and now Bourdais and Dixon have fell prey to the yellow flag, and it's going to put them back behind everybody.
Drive through. Gotta drive through. Gotta drive through.
Bourdais did not get to pit lane before the yellow came out.
Either did he, because he was behind him.
That's right.
So they're going to get a penalty for this right here.
Both of them will get a drive through.
And who is sitting in the king position? Jordan King. He could podium by virtue of this timely yellow.
Harvey,
huge.
And Harvey. We haven't mentioned Harvey, now currently P4 in the Shank team.
He was, but he has to pit, Paul, so he'll have to pit under yellow. So for Jordan King.
Here, they want you behind the 28 car.
There you hear Craig Hampson letting Bourdais know where he has to file back. Marty?
Townsend, that is the penalty for Sebastian Bourdais and his team for staying out one lap longer. That's the risk you take, right? Yes, you may be able to lay down some lap time and you may get an advantage there, but if the caution comes out, it will catch you out, and that's what's going to happen for Sebastian Bourdais and his team here. They'll have to pit coming up here in a moment.
And that's exactly why Alexander Rossi pit 4 laps ago, to make sure that they didn't get caught out. Sure, you might have to save just a tiny bit of fuel, but with the gap that they had, there was no reason to risk it.
We've seen this so many times in Toronto last year when Dixon was leading, guys pitted, and he went one lap further and went yellow, put him to the back of the field. So
the AMR safety team doing a good job cleaning up Zach DeMello's car, Clayman DeMello's car.
And the irony of being Bourdais' teammate, causing the yellow and putting Bourdais back. It just gets wide there, and it's a heavy impact.
Yellow light's on right there, on the board right here. That's the yellow light saying you can't pit. So it was out. He could have stayed out, but he went down the pit lane, and it's a double whammy because now he's had to drive all the way down the pit lane at 50 miles an hour as well. So it's cost him a lot of track time, and it's going to cost him a lot of positions on track to do the pit stop again. But we'll wait and see what the penalty is for Dixon, because he came in after and also did his service. So we don't know what penalty there is for that.
And even though Rossi's thinking, okay, it was smart, we had the insurance policy, he's going to have to deal with the restart. And that's not what you want when you have a 6-7 second lead and you're on cruise control here in Long Beach. Look at all the marbles, too. That's another thing that Rossi will have to deal with, is the pickup on the tires.
Rossi has driven a picture-perfect race so far, and all the top dogs have all made small mistakes, starting right off of the green flag.
And one thing that'll help Alexander Rossi is Max Chilton, that lap car down between him and Dixon. Let's watch what happens again with Dixon.
But Bourdais continues to just drive straight through after talking to the team. Meanwhile, the 9, the PNC Bank car of Scott Dixon.
They went back out. Look, they pulled back, and then they said, oh, go back out. So that's a bad call by the team. They should have just sent him. The team pulled back the tires, and then they went back out and put them back on.
Chris Simmons in the foreground, the lead engineer, long-time engineer of Scott Dixon's, former racer himself. So there's Bourdais at the front, Chilton in between, and Scott Dixon the last car. And we know what the light situation was about the status of pit lane being opened or closed due to that onboard of Sebastian Bourdais. Stay tuned on Scott Dixon. We'll have some information in a moment. Meanwhile, it gives the likes of Will Power, Jordan King, etc. Let's go and hear from Mike Hull.
Mike, Sebastian Bourdais decided to continue driving through the pits, while you and the 9 team did decide to take service. Why?
Well, we looked up on our monitor. It said 9 car okay to pit, so we just stopped. So that's the reason why.
Are you talking to IndyCar about the penalty?
We don't know if we have a penalty.
Possible penalty, excuse me.
Well, they don't tell us until after the restart, so conversation is probably null and void at the moment.
All right, thanks, Mike. Over to Kevin.
Let's watch some of them come through. Some have already made their final stop. Josef Newgarden is one of those we're going to see crawling in at 50 miles per hour. Newgarden, the defending champion and our most recent race winner, coming in. He's one of those on a 3-stop strategy, trying to salvage a podium out of this, Marty.
Heavily heard the radio transmission earlier from Craig Hampson to Sebastian Bourdais. He wanted that wing change. He has since waved that off because obviously a different game. They're going to be in in the back of the field, 9.5 on the stop. So he waved off that wing change. Hampson told him, listen, focus on getting the best result we can from here on out, Lee.
Nothing like a little late race drama. But one thing that has not changed, it is still looking very good for Alexander Rossi. Back on the streets of Long Beach for the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach. Lee Diffie, Townsend Bell, Paul Tracy with you, ready to get going again. And this is a gut-wrenching blow for rookie Jordan King. He was headed for a top 10, possibly a top 5, and he's had to make a late race stop to bleed the brakes.
Heartbreak for the rookie. Had such a great run going in St. Petersburg and then had a tire pressure issue that forced a crash. Wasn't his fault there, and this is just really tough ball. He was in such a great position.
I've never, ever in my lifetime seen a car stop, other than an endurance race, to bleed the brakes. So he must have had lost his front brakes completely for some reason.
This is 23-year-old American Zach Veach, the Group 1001 onboard camera showing you this diminutive driver with a wonderful personality and has worked incredibly hard to get to where he is. And well, we're not over yet. We've got a long way to go, 21 to go in fact. But if Zach Veach can stay where he is in the top 5 in the 3rd race of the year, that would be something else. That would be really cool.
Well, we've got 4 Andretti cars right now in the top 6, or 3 Andretti cars in the top 6, because Marco now has moved up to 6th with all these issues that guys have had. So a pretty strong run by the Andretti team.
You wonder what kind of veteran pressure Marco Andretti is going to exert on the young rookie Zach Veach on this restart. Because Andretti would love to come out of here with the top 5 also and keep himself in the top 10 in points.
Well, Marco had, after testing very well pre-season, St. Pete didn't go to plan. He had that qualifying penalty for allegedly impeding somebody, and then last week in Phoenix it didn't go all that well for him either, but he's hung in there to stay in the top 10 in points. So Marco Andretti started a long way back today.
Look at the gap. Oh, the pace car stayed out. I thought they were going green right there.
Just looking at those push-to-pass stats, I mean, really, Will Power sitting pretty. 136 seconds of push-to-pass remaining.
As we take a look at the Chevrolet driver update of who is where, Will Power for Team Penske, the highest placed Chevrolet driver, trying to grab another victory here in Long Beach. What you got, Marty?
Hey, Lee, you may add a little more drama to the mix here. Alexander Rossi telling his team that he feels like something might be wrong with his brakes. He said the pedal is all of a sudden getting very soft. I just asked Rob Edwards about it. He said, yeah, I'm not too worried about it. It does happen on occasion, but no doubt he did radio to the crew saying, hey, the brakes are feeling a little bit softer. So behind the wheel, Townsend, I might be a little bit worried about that going into turn 1 here at Long Beach on a restart.
I wonder if that's just knockback with the pads, or if for some reason the brakes are just getting hot under this yellow late in the race. But let's look at what happened to get us here. Here's Graham Rahal on the start, the red, white, and black car up the outside and hard into the back of Simon Pagenaud. Penalty for Rahal, but Pagenaud was out.
Well, Rahal's back up to 7th, so he got a drive-through penalty for that, for avoidable contact, but now he's worked all day. He's back up to 7th, lap 23. Robert Wickens has gearbox problems, but he is back running again, getting more track time. They fixed that car, but he's multiple laps down, 11 laps down right now.
Now after lap 1, turn 1 problems for Ryan Hunter-Reay, we'll get to him in a moment. This was Bourdais with what we said at the time was the move of the race. It really was, but it was deemed to be illegal, and then Ryan Hunter-Reay suffered a puncture, and this hampered his charge back through the field, and he went a lap down due to that. And then Zach Clayman DeMello found the wall here at Long Beach, like many have over the years, and found out just how hard it was. And then this, under yellow. This call between Bourdais and Dixon, and also Chilton came in as well, ready to go green. Here in Long Beach, Scott Dixon doing the chasing. So too is Will Power, and we await a call on Scott Dixon. Is he going to be penalized for coming in at the same time of Bourdais? Yes, he is. A drive-through for Scott Dixon in the 9. Doing a full service pit stop on a closed pit lane.
And that'll effectively take Scott Dixon out of contention. That'll move Will Power up into 2nd place. And that'll mean that Ed Jones moves into podium position for the Ganassi team. And Dixon, despite getting a drive-through, doesn't seem to particularly care. If he can make a move and drive through, he will.
We had a look there. You'd hate to have a look, lock up, take out the leader, and then affecting the cause another problem. He just got the radio call from Mike Hall, got a drive-through, so that's going to put him all the way to the back of the line.
We'll open up some clear space for Will Power, for Team Penske, who has the most time left on his pushes to pass. You get 200 seconds, and you can apply it for up to 20 seconds at a time.
Dixon didn't come. He
disobeyed.
Disobeyed the order of coming through, so if you continue to do that, they'll stop scoring you.
Says a man with occasional experience of loss of scoring.
Loss of hearing.
Tight quarters there.
Here comes Bourdais. He's not done with yet. He's served his penalty. Let's ride with Sebastian.
Sebastian Bourdais, I don't know if I'm feeling hugely confident after that turn one pass earlier, or a little gun shy that I got away with it. But Sebastian Bourdais is pushing hard to make moves.
He's on sticker reds, and there's a long way to go, so he could get a top 8 or 7 out of this.
And remember, Paul, he waved off that wing adjustment on the last stop, knowing, hey, I'm going to be in traffic. A lot different game than being in second. Speaking in second, Will Power expects to be there in a moment when Scott Dixon does come down pit road. And you see a pass there. Nice move in the back of the field, guys. But Will Power very calm right now on the radio. Roger Penske told him several times, Dixon will have to come to pit road. Don't worry about it. You are in second.
There is Scott Dixon serving that drive-through penalty for getting serviced on a closed pit lane. Of course, we knew that was coming when Bourdais got penalised. Of course, Dixon would have to receive a penalty because he was coming in after Sebastian Bourdais. So 17 laps to go here on the streets of Long Beach. Alexander Rossi with exactly a 2-second lead over Will Power. Ed Jones for Chip Ganassi Racing in a brilliant third. Zach Veach up to fourth. Marco Andretti in the top 5. Graham Rahal, after serving his early race penalty, has hung in there. He's 6th. It's all about just hanging in there to the end in the Verizon IndyCar Series.
That's, I have to chuckle at Rahal. What an amazing comeback to stick with it. And we've seen that just like in St. Pete. Graham Rahal, a terrific racer, never gives up, and he's right on the back of Marco Andretti.
The streets of Long Beach, small little mistakes are really costly, can put you out of contention very easily.
Pretty excited to see what happens here with Zach Veach as well. He's right on Ed Jones as we go on board with Rahal.
Oh, big loose.
See him get on push to pass. The only problem for Rahal, I think the biggest problem, is in order to get himself back into contention, he had to burn up so much push to pass.
Yeah.
Right now, only 24 seconds left. Andretti with 43.
Look, Graham hasn't been thrilled with the way that the year has gone, despite starting last in St. Pete and finishing second behind Sebastian Bourdais. And last week at Phoenix, he said, yeah, we're there, but we're not quite there. I think his resilience is amazing. Well, and for him to stay, he's 4th in the championship points coming into this weekend.
Just going to say, as it runs right now, Rahal would be 4th, Rossi be leading by 22 points, Sebastian Bourdais in 3rd. Riding on board with Bourdais.
Now currently 10th. On the restart, he was 12th, so he's got a good shot on these reds at maybe getting up to about where Newgarden. By the time he gets Newgarden, to be tough to get by from Bourdais because it's about equal on pace, but I think he can get Kanaan, Kimball. Pretty tough to get by Newgarden.
Well, he's got a lot of experience passing 2 or 3 cars at once down in turn 1, so anything's possible.
We had, and when I say we, the 3 of us, Townsend, Paul and myself, had the pleasure of speaking with the captain, Roger Penske, down before our pre-race show. It's not often you get. Here's a move for Graham Rahal on the inside of Marco Andretti. That sounds good, doesn't it? Rahal and Andretti racing hard at Long Beach. We've heard that before. It's now the kids' turn. And Graham successfully gets by. And Roger Penske said to us, well, actually said 2 things. One was really good. He looked at Paul Tracy and started chuckling. He said, I've never seen you in a sports coat before. And he said, but you look good, PT. And then he also said, hey, Will's doing just fine. Will Power, that is, despite those early season troubles. He said it wasn't, you know, can't be too hard on him for the crashing Phoenix. He got up into the marbles and just couldn't steer out of it. But he said he'll be right today, and he is so far.
Bourdais all over the back of the Carlin car, and we know that Charlie Kimball, he's one of the toughest characters on track to pass, so he will not make it easy for Bourdais or anybody. Look at the exit speed there. It's a great camera angle. Be right on the back tail. Whoa!
He got hit. He was hit.
When we got a log jam, track.
Bourdais gets turned around. Hunter Ray. Also Robert Wickens. So
where's he going to go? Now we're going to have a track blockage.
There's Dixon. Hunter Ray gets going. And Wickens is stalled, so this will bring out a yellow.
Oh,
he's going to have to do another 3-point turn here, get into reverse. Again, Bourdais. Oh, he got it around. Good job by Bourdais. Broken front wing now.
Stay out. Stay out.
Well, when it goes bad, it really goes bad, doesn't it?
Have to find out who was behind Sebastian Bourdais for the little more than a love tap.
His rear wing end plate's broken, so for sure he got hit by somebody.
Who is it?
Jordan King. King went in. The guy who came in to get his brakes fixed.
And how many times have we seen that at Long Beach, guys? An inexperienced driver passing a car. He was passing, King was passing Hinchcliffe and didn't intend to hit Bourdais, but that happens all the time in the hairpin.
That was very much the style of the passing you see in F2, formerly GP2, where Jordan King has come from. That was a little overly optimistic. I know we've said it before, but I love this nose cam.
Yeah.
I love this nose cam.
It is mesmerizing.
It is. It's awesome. Not so awesome for this man, Sebastian Bourdais, though.
Be careful that wing end plate doesn't get under the car.
That thing is hanging on by a piece of dental floss.
Bring the front wheels up off the ground in one of the corners.
Just got to note that, of course, that incident at the hairpin is under review from IndyCar Race Control.
Okay, pits are open. Pits are open. We are pitting.
This is what it looked like from James Hinchcliffe's point of view. Look to the right. Hello, I'm Jordan King, and I'm coming through. King me. Hey guys, this is setting up pretty close to last week. What did we have, a 7-lap shootout last week?
Well, and for Will Power, with 116 seconds left to push to pass, he could use almost 10 seconds a lap. So I'd like to see Slick Willie Peepaul get on the button.
Well, it'd be nice to see a really good racer that's got double the amount, basically a push to pass over Rossi.
This one is building to an exciting finish yet again on the streets of Long Beach. See you when we come back. Closing laps of the Grand Prix of Long Beach. Are you ready for a street fight? We're about to see it. Well, I guess we've already seen it, kind of. But it's for all the marbles coming up. And the man who has been in the prime position is on your screen in that blue and yellow car, Alexander Rossi. He's got Will Power, who's won on the streets of Long Beach multiple times. So too is that guy there in the bright yellow car, the Sealmaster entry, Sebastian Bourdais, who has had an amazing day, which was highlighted by this. Have you ever seen a pass like that at Long Beach into turn 1? Unfortunately, it was deemed illegal because he went over the pit exit line. He had to give the position back to Scott Dixon, but then he got back by him again. However, right when a yellow came out, the pit lane was closed, and both Bourdais and Dixon came in and had to serve drive-through penalties. And to add insult to injury, Jordan King got Bourdais at the hairpin and turned the veteran IndyCar champion around. He's had a little bit of everything today, Seabass. Tough one.
Yeah, but he's got best trick.
Oh, yes.
He's
That's
back.
the move. I don't even have to ask either of you at the end what was the move of the race.
He's back together with Dixon. We're going to be going green next time by. Now we know Roger was on the radio with Will and said, you've got lots of push to pass, so he's telling him, go for it.
PT's told him that about 4 times. And imagine the juxtaposition of the top 2 guys right here. And let's go back to just last week. Will Power getting into the wall at Phoenix, and he kind of said, hey, that was Alexander Rossi's fault. He put me up in that 3rd groove and made me sort of get on the ice, as he called it, and into the wall. But Rossi's had a fantastic start to the season, building a championship resume so far in 2018. Power with nothing to lose. 2 dismal results in the first 2 races. He told me, Lee, I'm coming into Long Beach determined. I think the 12 driver certainly wants to get up front and be able to steal this win from the man who maybe put him in the wall last week at Phoenix.
Well, look, the story is all about Rossi at the front, but look at what Will Power has in reserve. Lots of push to pass time, as we've been discussing. Ed Jones, Zach Veach, Graham Rahal, Marco Andretti, Josef Newgarden, Tony Kanaan, Charlie Kimball. What a top 10 is here, and the mayor of Hinchtown tops it off. Watch that silver bullet in second. Can Will Power go with Alexander Rossi, who has been a master on the restarts today? Let's go for it. And Rossi's already gone.
Once again, Alexander Rossi rolls the power on like a maestro out of turn 11. And look at the gap already to Will Power.
Used. Good start. Here goes Newgarden on the inside. Whoa, whoa, whoa. The hitch. All locking up on Charlie Kimball there. Great control, James. Avoids an incident down in turn 1.
Rossi already showing his dominance. He's got a nice little gap on Power. Power's got to use the push to pass. Like we said, he can use it every lap, every straightaway, almost to the end of the race. So he's got to utilize what he's got in his bag of tricks. As Ed's now under Veach looking at a podium right here.
Zach Veach has done an awesome job today. So too has Ed Jones. It's Andretti versus Ganassi. Veach pulls out of the draft. Outside, up there at turn 9. Nope, that's the long way around. There's a big angry wall waiting there.
And don't hang out there for too long, because you'll end up at the wall at the marbles. But look at the guy who's lurking right behind. It's Rahal. These 2 guys slip up and he'll be on the podium. Big run by Rahal right now, but he doesn't have much push to pass.
Veach wants to make a move, but he also wants to get away from Rahal and Marco Andretti, who are just behind, and they're coming hard.
Gap between first and second. It's exactly 1 second, Alexander Rossi to Will Power. And Power's still got plenty of push to pass in reserve.
Kanaan has gotten by Newgarden, so he's kind of saved the attack on Andretti from Newgarden.
I mean, Power has to get on the button here. There's 8 laps to go. He has 113 seconds. He can be liberal with the usage right now to achieve the lap time. Now he's on it, but he's only burning a second at a time.
All right,
Hunter Ray.
More damage.
Trouble. Broken wing. It's like he's hit the wall. Front suspension's broken.
Left
rear suspension's broken.
It has been a rugged day, a tough weekend for Ryan Hunter-Reay. Pressure on the 3rd place, Ed Jones in the NTT Data car. Zach Veach in the Group 1001 car for Andretti Autosport wants to get his first IndyCar career podium. 2 former Indy Lights drivers going at it. Graham Rahal in the background. Marco Andretti staying in touch, and Tony Kanaan, the veteran, is there.
Veach on the push to pass. Jones on the push to pass. Powers on the push to pass.
Ooh, and that's working well for Will Power. Starting to close the gap a little bit to Alexander Rossi. Here comes Kimball on Hinchcliffe.
These 2 guys have been going at it lap after lap. Ends up driving from Hinchcliffe there.
For sure, Hinchcliffe's got a flat spotted front tire, so his handling will be compromised after locking it up the previous lap for such a long way. Oh, what's on the track?
Is that from Hunter-Reay's car?
Is that, or is that a palm leaf? That looks to me like a California palm leaf that's fallen from above.
Ed Jones in the blue car, the brown and black machine of Zach Veach. Here comes Graham Rahal in the Total car for Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan Racing. The story for Graham Rahal this year is never say die. He doesn't give up. And Rahal's looking at a top 5 here in Long Beach. Meanwhile, at the front, Will Power is intensifying the pressure on Alexander Rossi.
And he's on push to pass. They're both on it now. This is the closest that Will has been since the restart.
And the reason,
real good job, real good.
The reason Power should use it now is to force Rossi to respond and have to burn his up. And if it plays out like Power wants it to, Power will have 30 seconds, roughly 25 seconds left, when Rossi has none.
Rossi has not been put under this kind of pressure in the race so far. Almost 80 laps worth of it. Nobody's been this close to Rossi.
Both cars on black tires, end of the race. Track is rubbered in now. Certain sections of the track towns, it looks like Rossi has the measure of him from basically turn 1 to the end of the back straightaway.
10 seconds of push to pass each lap from here home.
And there you hear the instructions from Rob Edwards towards Alexander Rossi. You know, all weekend long they've been so fast, especially early in a run. But today, when they put race setup in for sure, in warm-up, they weren't quite as good on the old tires as Alexander wanted to be. And Will Power felt like they might have an advantage there. So this is going to play out very interesting because they are on older tires here. Who has the advantage in the final few laps, Lee?
All on push to pass. We've got the first 4 cars all on push to pass again.
1 second, that has been constant. Ed Jones in third. Meanwhile, look at this side by side. This is Josef Newgarden and Tony Kanaan going at it down into turn 1. You're looking at 7th and 8th there behind Marco Andretti.
And I don't know if Will Power wants a caution at this point. I think he's got a better chance if it stays green and he can hunt down Rossi. He's only a second back right now, but it seems like every time there's a restart, Rossi just comes out of turn 11 and gives everybody no chance behind him.
He's got to get closer and force Rossi to use up his push to pass if he's going to have an advantage. Power back on the push to pass. He's down to 65 seconds. Rossi now 51 seconds, so they're almost even on push to pass now. So Rossi is playing this like a master. He's not using it, so they're almost equal now, push to pass, 10 seconds apart.
Graham Rahal, meanwhile, is starting to work over Zach Veach pretty hard for that 4th place. Keep an eye on that. Ed Jones is stable in 3rd. There's your time left on the pushes to pass. Rossi versus Power at the front. Nobody else is in this with the final 4 laps here in Long Beach coming up. Veach has now got a little bit closer to Jones. Rahal, the gap's growing there. Andretti, Newgarden, Kanaan, Hinchcliffe. Here's Charlie Kimball. And there is Jack Harvey in the Meyer Shank racing machine. The Sirius XM car. A beautiful purple one ahead of Scott Dixon and Matthias Leist.
Just like to let you know, Paul, that Race Control reported it was a California palm leaf in the track earlier. There it is.
Eagle eyes on our T-Bell. That's only because you've got a big landscaping project going on in your backyard at the moment.
Don't remind me.
3.5 laps, not even that left in the Long Beach Grand Prix of 2018. Alexander Rossi. He's had 2 race victories before in his career in IndyCar. Oh, and by the way, one of them just happens to be the 100th Indianapolis 500.
And I said Power had to draw Rossi into using push to pass, but the opposite has happened. Alexander Rossi has pulled Will Power into burning it up, and now they're dead even.
The speed that 27 Napa car has had this weekend has been phenomenal. And again, it's being underscored. Oh, that was Bourdais going on the inside at turn 1.
That looked close. There might have been contact with Leist.
Looked like it was a crash. That was a crash that didn't happen. Here it is again.
That's as tight as you're ever going to get. Sideways for Bourdais. Doesn't make contact. And if you got a yellow now, that would effectively end the race.
Hey, he's not going to win the race, but driver of the day is Sebastian Bourdais.
He's got a future in the X Games.
Oh, wow. Hinchcliffe trying to work the back of Matthias Leist. Pardon me, Tony Kanaan, unable to do so at the moment, possibly, as PT said, with that flat-spotted tyre. Across the line one more time, Rossi with 10 more, 12 more seconds of push to pass and a 1.1 second advantage.
And guys, think about this. Think about Alexander Rossi winning Watkins Glen, winning the Indy 500, how strong he was on a short oval now at Phoenix. Now he has dominated one of the toughest street circuits in the world. There's every reason to think that Alexander Rossi could be a champion this year in convincing fashion.
And he's been building confidence from mid-season last year, about Toronto was when he came alive, and ever since then, he's been a completely different driver. The confidence has been building, and I haven't seen this level of confidence in a driver have a weekend like this in a long time.
I knew you'd work in a way to get Toronto in on the broadcast. I know it's been a phenomenal effort from Alexander Rossi, and he will lead the points in just one more lap's time. He will lead the points for the first time. But Power's not giving up. 1 lap to go.
1 to go. Plenty of push to pass.
That's the voice of Rob Edwards, the strategist for Alexander Rossi at Andretti Autosport. What a weekend it has been for this man here.
And you know what I think speaks volumes about the IndyCar series, how competitive it is? As they run right now, you would have 5 different teams occupying the 5 top positions in the championship.
Fantastic.
We're in for a great season.
Third different winner in as many races in 2018, with Sebastian Bourdais winning in St. Petersburg. Last weekend, Josef Newgarden with that pass for the win with just 2 laps to go, and now a dominant performance from Alexander Rossi. The kid who grew up right here in California, left and went to Europe as a teenager, actually lived in the Czech Republic before going to Europe in the UK. And here he gets one of the best wins of his career in his home state. The Long Beach Grand Prix 2018 belongs to Alexander Rossi. What a win!
Winner, winner. Good job, buddy.
And Will Power will get second, and a phenomenal podium for Chip Ganassi Racing's Ed Jones in just his second year in IndyCar racing. The driver from Dubai stands on the podium. Zach Veach, a career best result. And another gritty, gutsy comeback from Graham Rahal to finish in the top 5.
What a race and what a weekend for Andretti Racing. 3 cars in the top 6. Marco coming home in 6th, Veach in 4th, Rossi in 1st. And without the problems with Hunter Ray, I would have guaranteed he would have been in the top 6 as well. But
He was very fast, but it was just mistakes that got to Hunter Ray, both in qualifying and in the race. But he'll be back strong next weekend in Alabama. But today is all about the 27.
That was a commanding drive from Alexander Rossi. Didn't put a foot wrong. Had the speed. Smart drive. Listen to the strategy calls. And now leads the points. How about that third Verizon IndyCar Series victory? The Indy 500, Watkins Glen, and now Long Beach. They're not 3 bad tracks to have your first 3 wins at. Awesome stuff for the American Alexander Rossi. Wins at Long Beach. You're watching NBCSN's coverage of IndyCar, brought to you by Honda, an official vehicle of the Verizon IndyCar Series, and by Total Performance Engine Oils. Keep your engine for longer. Proud sponsor of Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing. Back in Long Beach, where a Californian is about to celebrate victory. At the age of 26, this guy's raced all over the world, but I can tell you, this is a day he's never going to forget, Marty. Alexander Rossi in victory lane at Long Beach.
Well, Lee, when you're from California, you want to win all of them. He's won the Indianapolis 500. Now he's won as Michael Andretti comes in for the big HUD, the car owner. As PT said earlier, the Long Beach Grand Prix is like the Indianapolis 500 of street course races, but leading all but 14 laps, Alexander. Is that the most dominant car you've ever had?
I think the Watkins Glen car last year was pretty close, but man, this Andretti Autosport team and the Napa Know-How crew, it's unbelievable, man. It's I can't really put into words how good the car was all weekend. I think we proved that, and I'm just so glad we were able to capitalize. Nothing crazy happened, and on a weekend where we announced Crown Royal as a partner, and then getting the win that I think the military motorsports car should have last weekend. It's a good feeling right now.
For you on those final restarts, how worried were you that Power might be able to make a move?
Our restarts were good all day. I mean, our drive out of turn 11 was awesome. The only thing that concerned me a little bit was he had more push to pass, so we had to manage that and manage the gap a bit, but like I said, I mean, when the car is that good, I don't have to work too hard.
You have 60 family and friends here. What's the significance of winning in your home state at a race like this that you watched as a kid?
It's so special, man. Like you say, this is kind of our second home race. A lot of people here, so it's really cool to be able to give them a result. I mean, they didn't see me when I got to race in Europe. They didn't get to make the trip over. So the fact that they're here, the fact that we were able to get redemption on last year like we've been talking about all week is a really special feeling, so really happy.
How about the start to the season for this 2017 for you guys? Have you set yourselves up with a team to beat for the championship come your really hometown race, Sonoma, later this year?
There's a long way to go between now and then. We've got Barber and Indy GP, 2 road courses, which we haven't done yet, so we need to see how our car lines up there, and then obviously the big one in May, which we're obviously thinking about as well. So long way to go still, but you can't ask for a much better start, and I'm very thankful to these guys behind me for allowing me to do what I do.
Up now, 22 points in the championship standings. I think his guys are ready to douse him with a little bit of liquid, but a very impressive run for Alexander Rossi and this Napa team. Robin?
Will Power started second, finished second, hell of a run. You were running qualifying laps at the end, and Rossi just had a little bit more.
Yeah, they were definitely very good early in the stint, but man, that was just absolutely driving as hard as I could go, and I'm sure he was going as hard as he could go and using push to pass, and that was just the Honda's just a bit better out of the hairpin. Like on the restarts, I couldn't get close. You know, I think we have better top end, but their drive out of the hairpins are really good. But you know, good job for. I mean, Chevy's done a great job. I think we got great horsepower this year, and it's great to get the Verizon car on the podium.
The guys in the booth were all excited because you had almost twice as much push to pass left, but he used it pretty wisely. Did you think, okay, I got a chance?
Well, yeah, I thought I might have a chance, but the thing is with this push to pass system is you can use 2 or 3 seconds and really look after it out of each corner, and you get almost the same benefit as using it all the way down the straight. Like the big benefits through the gears, the first few gears, and that's only 3 seconds. So yeah, I think they should go back to 10 hits only, and then you would see some passing.
All right, good job, good result, good podium, Kevin Lee.
Second podium of his IndyCar career for second-year driver Ed Jones. The other was at the 500 last year. It took the timing of the yellow to get you up to third, but you had some strong guys behind you. How'd you hang on?
Yeah, exactly. You know, we didn't have a great qualifying yesterday. We knew we had to do something a bit different with the strategy and be a bit lucky with the yellows, but, you know, all credit to the number 10 NTD Data car. The crew did amazing pit stops, and the strategy really pulled off for us. So, you know, I can't thank them enough.
Nice job, man.
You know, after I think I let the guys down last weekend at Phoenix, it's great to be back up on the podium, and hopefully this is just the start of many.
That was Barry Wanger, helped call the strategy coming in there. I'm guessing you like this place. That was one of your best results here last year when you finished 6th.
Yeah, no, Long Beach has been good to me. I finished first year in Indy Lights, 6th in IndyCar last year, and 3rd today. So been a good track for me, and hopefully next year we'll have the win.
All right, good result for Ed Jones today, 3rd. Lee?
That's outstanding, Kevin. Really good. And like he said, he was headed for a podium last week until a late race crash. He has redeemed himself and given one back to the team. But nobody's celebrating more than Alexander Rossi. As we welcome you back to Long Beach, what a race we've seen and enjoyed today. And we continue the wrap-up. Let's join Katie Harkett. Katie?
And Lee, earlier today, Zach Veach told me he was the kind of driver that took little nibbles of information and then progressed. But Zach, a 4th place at the streets of Long Beach does not feel like a nibble.
Man, I'm just so thankful. I mean, this feels like a win. Our qualifying pace hasn't been what we want it to be. It's just putting a lap together is so tough in these things. But I feel like once we got into the race, things kind of started to flow our way. But you know, I just can't thank my engineer, Garrett, my strategist, Josh, enough for the job they did. They really made it easy for me today. And I want to thank Group 1001 for this opportunity to be 4th in my 5th ever IndyCar race. Hopefully we can get on the podium at Barber and keep going up from there.
Speaking of Barber, that's where you made your IndyCar debut last year, filling in for J.R. Hildebrand. Do you feel more confident going to a track you've already been at?
Yeah, the funny thing was we went there to test a month or so ago, and my 2nd time lap from the new car was like a second faster than my ultimate lap from that weekend. So I was a little in over my head just jumping in last year, but you know, just feel ready and prepared to get there in Barber and see what job we can do.
And restarts can be a huge learning curve here in the Verizon IndyCar Series. I think we have some tape of your final restart. Walk us through that.
Yeah, just the main thing for me was just trying to make sure Rahal didn't get a run. So you check him up in the hairpin, try to get off the corner well and see how it turns out in turn 1. We'd been struggling with power down all day, so just trying to check him up in the hairpin to get that clean run off to have a safe entry into turn 1 was key.
All right, all smiles over here in the 26 pit, Lee.
Fabulous performance, and there's been a huge family sacrifice to get Zach Veach where he is, and Zach getting the Group 1001 sponsorship as well. Let's get to Robin.
Well, he started 5th and he finished 5th, Lee, but in between, the story was pretty exciting for Graham Rahal. Hell of a comeback, brother.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, obviously, you know, sorry for Simon, and you know, that's not the way we like to do things, and just like St. Pete, I mean, the rear's locked. I barely made the corner. I think Dixon bailed out because he thought I wasn't going to, and but I'm you know, and it hurt my race too. Obviously, getting a penalty, going to the back, and then you know, having to battle our way through. I think we were probably the one car that had a shot at Rossi today. We made some changes there for the race, and the Total car was honestly, it was fantastic in the race. So I'm really disappointed in myself. I'm disappointed, you know, in the way that it all began, but I'm proud of the Total team for the way that it finished. And everybody put their heads down. We made a lot of passes today. I passed more cars here today than I passed in a long time, and you know, we had a lot of fun. But we want to win, you know, and yes, this is a good start to the year, and obviously with our United Rentals Turns for Troops, we raised a lot more money for the veterans today. 85 times 50, you can do the math. I can't do it right now, but you know, a great day overall.
And you're 3rd in the points, and believe me, when you look at your season already, you haven't had your best race yet, and you're 3rd in the points already. And if you can get some double points at Indy, you usually struggle there. So it's a good start to the season.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's you know, I think that it's a good start. You know, to be 3rd, to complete all the laps so far, to finish in, you know, in the top 5 a couple times, obviously on the podium once and stuff. But Alex is having a strong start to the year, and you know, we're gonna it seems like the Andretti Autosport cars, period, have been really strong through this first 3 races. But this was our best weekend yet. You know, we weren't good at St. Pete. We weren't really great at Phoenix. We deserve to be there this weekend, and so that's why it's a little bit more bittersweet.
All right, a nice result for Graham Rahal. Marty?
Well, obviously the story of the last stop of the race, Scott Dixon and his team, he came down, caution kind of came out the wrong time for you guys. What was your take on the penalty call from IndyCar and the decision by your team to go ahead and pit anyway?
I think it was a bit of confusion. You know, first of all, we shouldn't have been hanging ourselves out to dry there. We had no pressure from behind. I don't know what we were trying to gain there. Just made no sense. You know, the 98 pitted a couple laps before, so did a bunch of other people. The only thing that's going to happen is the possibility of what did, and you shoot yourself in the foot and you go to the back of the field. So the IndyCar call was, you know, was legit when I came into the pits. It was red. They read on the IM that it was okay to pit, but obviously they think that was maybe from the stop before. So a little bit of confusion there, and then picked up the penalty later. But frustrating for the PNC Bank car. It was fast. We were probably too loose all day. We just really couldn't get the power down, which was a little bit frustrating, but we should have been on the podium, no doubt.
With Reds there at the end, did you think you maybe had a shot to get Rossi there for the win?
I already knew we were getting a penalty, so I wasn't going to try and mess up his day. You know, he deserved to win today. He had a stellar weekend. It was a big weekend for Honda, and very proud and very happy for them. We'll just have to try and come back stronger.
Not to finish, Scott Dixon won it today at Long Beach.
No, and for Scott to be in his civvies, so to speak, so quickly, he's not very happy with the end result today.
Alexander Rossi and Andretti Autosport continue to celebrate at Long Beach, and one of his teammates also had a nice result today. Marco Andretti comes home in 6th position. What was your day like?
Eventful. I mean, you know, we really had to press. I mean, I'm making my Sundays miserable. As soon as I get my qualifying together, I think we're going to win a race. You know, we passed, 14 cars a day, something like that, but we race really well. I just need to, you know, yesterday I made a mistake in qualifying on the brakes, and so a lot of slicing and dicing mid-pack. It was a lot of fun.
Biggest mover of the day, 14 positions gained for Marco Andretti.
And Kev, he keeps himself in the top 10 in points, which was the goal. He'd like to climb a little bit higher. Ed Jones gets his way in there. Will Power with that much-needed result. He jumps up 6 places, and Alexander Rossi leads the points for the first time.
Looking at Ryan Hunter-Reay hanging in there despite a very difficult Long Beach. So lots of guys still in the hunt, but Rossi just utterly dominates the field, and it is amazing to see that 27 team. They've been the strongest over the, even if you go to the halfway point of last year, they're on a roll, Paul, and that momentum is going to be tough to harness for anybody else.
Absolutely. Guys who had good days today, Charlie Kimball, Jack Harvey, and the Shank crew. Nice little finish for them. Bourdais, he was the guy to watch all day. He took a hit in the points today, moved from the top 2 or 3 down to 4th, so not a good day for him, but he was exciting.
And Simon Pagenaud finishing 24th and last, was 11th in the points before today's race. He will plummet. That is a tough day for both the Long Beach winner and the former series champion. So that is round 3 complete here in Long Beach, California, with that deserving winner, Alexander Rossi. What a day. What a day for that team. And we said right from the top of the show that he was the guy to beat, and it proved to be that way. And I think, guys, if we're not kind of getting ahead of ourselves, I think that this momentum is going to continue.
Yeah, for sure. And you can see a perfectly clean Napa Indy car there. And I think the only question left, and Rossi talked about it in the interview, he said, what's going to happen when we get to the first permanent road course? That's next weekend in Barber, Alabama. Can they keep this up? And I think if they can, they're tough to beat.
Is he going to keep it up, Paul?
Oh, I think they are, and look out for this team at Indy. Once we get to Indy on the Speedway, that's where they're really strong.
So as Townsend said, it's off to Barber, where Josef Newgarden will try and defend his 2017 victory and try and get 3 wins at that track. That's where he got his very first one. Coming up next, it's NHL Live, followed by first round Stanley Cup playoffs, Columbus at Washington, and that is game 2. So really looking forward to that. Exciting times in the playoffs in hockey and exciting times here on the streets of Long Beach. For all your information for the Verizon IndyCar Series, you can always head to NBCSports.com. 3 races, 3 different winners. IndyCar is alive in 2018. We'll see you next week in Alabama.